Welcome back to Time Out with J and G. It's Jay over here. It's G over there.
Yo, what is going on, everyone?
Today we have a very, very fun episode. We're going to be talking about contenders versus pretenders, and obviously get into a college football report and all that kind of fun stuff. So before we get started, how you doing today, Levi?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually doing pretty damn good. Got a raise in my job, so I'm feeling good
Oh,
about
really?
that. Yeah. How
Congratulations.
how about you? How are you feeling today?
Pretty good, pretty good. It was a pretty easy day at work today. Later this week, I got some long driving to do, so I'm not looking forward to that. But nothing too hard, nothing too crazy. I'm excited to do the episode today. I'm excited to get back into the NBA and kind of talk about some stuff because last week we didn't have a lot to talk about. So yeah, we have a lot. And is there anything you want to talk about before we jump into some things today?
Not really. I'm just first thing, big thing that broke not too long ago. There are sources that told an ESPN reporter that Aaron Rodgers might not be with the team in 2025.
Good. He should be retired.
Yeah. They
He's
don't
not
think they're
good.
gonna bring him back or he might retire. I don't know, but there's an insider that came out and said that he might not be with the team next year.
He's just not good anymore. This team needs to move on. At their current construction, they're not going to win anything. So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. It was. I understand the risk you guys took like 2 years ago, or the Jets took 2 years ago to bring him in. But then he was obviously out for the whole season with his Achilles, and he's just not the same player anymore. And it's just not working.
Yeah, no it's not. No it's not. They gotta figure something out though.
Yeah, yeah. So the other thing I want to kind of talk about here before we got into your college football report is I saw you tagged me and I saw it earlier as well that this is from this is per Shams that Tyrese Maxey reportedly called out Joel Embiid for always being late. And Sean's quote was, quote, in the meeting, Maxey challenged Embiid to be on time to team activities, calling out the former league MVP about being late for everything and how it impacts the locker room from other players to the coaching staff, sources briefed on the meetings told ESPN. So basically last night, I guess after they lost, they're down, what, 2-11 or 2-12? They have like the worst record in the league right now, which is crazy. Apparently, Kyle Lowry was the one that said, hey, we need to have a players only meeting, like a team meeting. They do that. Apparently, Tyrese Maxey's fed up with how Joel Embiid's been late to stuff and kind of let him have it. So, what are your takes on that?
I feel like it was kinda gonna show up sooner or later. It was just a
Mm-hmm.
matter of who was gonna be the guy to go at Embiid. I thought it would be Paul George if something like this happened. I thought Paul George would look at Embiid and be like, hey, X, Y, and Z. Because Paul George is a veteran. He knows what is expected, what you need to do, how you should do it, because he's made
Mm-hmm.
multiple playoff runs. I thought he would be the guy to do it, but for Tyrese Maxey, who third year?
No, it's like his fifth year now.
Okay. Either way, the younger of the three comes
Mm-hmm.
out and basically is like, "Yo, Embiid, you got to be better. You got to be here on time. You got to do this. You got to do that." That kind
Mm-hmm.
of says a lot about Maxey. And I know I commented off of that and said it kind of reminds me of the Kareem Magic situation that happened back in the early '80s. Um, Kareem and Magic were butting heads a little bit, and then finally they got over it and went on to do what they were doing. But maybe they turn it around and Beat starts showing up and Beat starts playing better. Maybe they win a ring or two. You never know. But at this pace, I don't even see this team making the playoffs.
See, I guess my thing is like it was well known that Kareem and Magic were at each other. We've never really had anything between Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and I don't even think this is a beef more than it is Maxey being kind of fed up and being like, listen, man, like he's holding him accountable as a teammate, but like, hey, you're the superstar of this team, you're the captain of this team, you gotta be here, you gotta be here with the rest of the team. So like I said, I don't think there's any beef between them. I don't because we never heard anything about it before. I just think it's sometimes you just gotta hold people accountable. Like if somebody keeps messing up, it's gotta be like friend to friend, be like, hey man, we're teammates, we're friends. You've been late to everything. We need you to be locked in because right now we are terrible.
Yeah, that could be it. It just is it. We're not in the locker room. We don't know any
Mm.
insider things, so we're kind of just speculating on everything.
100%. Yeah, yeah. It's a weird situation. I mean, like I said, they're the worst team in the league right now, and they're just there's not a lot that you look at this 76ers team. It's like, oh, they have something going because Paul George came back from his injury and just not been good. Joel Embiid has came back from his injury in the past 2 games, has not been good. Tyrese Maxey's out for a little bit longer. Jerry McCain's looked pretty good. Jerry McCain and like Gershon Yabusele are about the two good things going on in Philadelphia right now, but there's not a lot else going.
Yeah, no, not a lot else.
It does kind of make me happy to see Jeremy Kane playing so well because a lot of people hated him before the draft and after the draft because of his TikToks, and he also painted his nails, kind of like a similar situation to like the Caleb Williams thing. So it always makes me happy to see when players that get ridiculed for off the court stuff like that play well because it's like, hey, listen, the fact that he paints a nail doesn't matter. He's a good basketball player.
Yeah, 100%. And him going off like he has been just a telling that this 76ers team, if fully healthy, is very, very dangerous.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's kind of. I didn't really have much else to bring up beforehand. Before we got into your college football, is there anything else you want to bring up?
Not really. I mean, yeah, no, not really. I mean, shout out to Chris Boswell for beating the
Mm.
Ravens.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then we have a lot to talk about in the main part of the episode today. So if we want to, we can go ahead and jump right into your college football report.
One more thing, right?
Okay. You just said no.
Well, I just thought of it.
Okay.
If I had a nickel for every time the Steelers won a football game by only kicking field goals, I'd have two nickels. That's not a lot of money, but it's weird it happened twice.
Man, who's the last team the Steelers lost to?
Cowboys.
I can't believe you've lost those, bro. We're ass. We're not
But
good.
all we had to do is recover that fumble, and we would have been
Yeah.
fine. A Landon Roberts, basically like a man missile, just
Yeah. That was a good game. It was a
it
messy game. It
was.
was a good game. I think we just got the better of you guys that game, but you guys, it's very clear you guys, at least this season, just the better team.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's Steelers are up there. I mean, they already what 8 wins.
Yeah, you guys are eight and
A
two.
lot of people were expecting 6, 7 wins, but hey,
And
we're
again,
up there.
shout out Russell Wilson. You guys are 4-0
Yes.
since he's taken over your starting quarterback. You guys have looked really, really good. Um, like I said, I think we already apologized weeks ago that after Russell Wilson's first game, they're like, "Hey, we were wrong. He still got it, and he's just proven it through the next 3 weeks since then." That it probably was. I guess Mike Tomlin was cooking. Mike Tomlin saw something there
Yeah.
in practice. He's in practice, and it was the right decision so far.
I mean, even when we did our preseason or our predictions for the season, I had him at 10 wins, and my whole explanation was, Russ in uh, in Seattle, great defense in Seattle, and he just kind of just managed how he needed to, and he's kind of doing that again. He's throwing
Yep,
them moon balls up to Pickens, and I know Mike Williams had that touchdown the other week, but team's playing pretty good. Wish the offense would score a little bit more, but I can't complain.
that's right. Yeah, Russell Wilson's offenses haven't really scored since Seattle, so it kind of is what it is at this point in time.
Yeah. Hey, we're winning games.
That's all that matters, yeah.
That's all that matters. But on to the college football report. We just wrapped up week 12, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Mm-hmm.
We're only a couple weeks away from the playoffs, from bowl games, from the Army Navy game. The season is moving pretty fast, but I know the only game that we really covered was Tennessee at Georgia. Georgia does
Mm-hmm.
win 31-17. Carson Beck basically turns into prime Tom Brady and
Yeah.
just shreds the Tennessee defense. He had 347 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is pretty much, in my opinion, his best game of the season against this level of competition. Didn't turn
Mm-hmm.
the ball over, was very, very poised, and knew what he was going to do, how he was going to do it, when he was going to do it. Uh, I'd noted it last episode. The Georgia pass rush sacked Nico Iamaleava 5 times, forced a fumble on the last sack, on pretty much the last offensive play for Tennessee, which then sealed the game for Georgia. On the Tennessee side, the bend but don't break mentality for that defense, you broke.
Mm-hmm.
You can't rely on them to do this every week. It worked against Bama, it worked against Kentucky, it worked against some of these other teams, but like a team against Georgia, your offense has to score points and your defense has to get takeaways, and I know they've been good at it, but you cannot do that bend but don't break. Get to your own goal line, but don't let them in for a touchdown. That just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. Coverage has to be better on tight ends, but no, Tennessee did not play their best. I'm not going to harp on it too much, but there were some calls, some no
Mm-hmm.
calls, some bad calls. It is what it is. If the
If
calls,
Levi's favorite team loses, you know what's going to happen in the next episode.
hey, you can go through, and there were about 5 calls. I'm not going to harp on it. Game's over. It's decided. Tennessee probably going to be out of the playoffs right now, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see what happens. But a couple of calls questionable, but we're just gonna sweep it under the rug. We're just gonna move on. Look forward
Hmm.
to University of Texas El Paso, but Georgia's still looking good, still looking like a potential college football champion. So shout out to the Bulldogs. But did you watch the game?
No, we were we were gone
Oh
all day
yeah,
Saturday,
yeah.
so we were down in DC all day Saturday, so I didn't watch any of the games.
And no, but yeah, on to week 13. I personally think this is going to be the week of the upsets. I think there's not going to be one. There's going to be multiple upsets
Okay.
this week. The first game that I think is going to be an upset is Kentucky at Texas. Texas is favored by 20.5 points. People are doubting Kentucky way too much. They played, or they should have beaten Georgia, and they played every team so far very tight and very, very good. And I believe they're coming off a win against Ole Miss. Going into Texas, this is perfect prime opportunity to take down the Longhorns, especially when Texas is possibly looking ahead to Texas A&M, which is the next week game. This is kind of like that the trap game, because Texas could be looking forward to A&M and be like, hey, we got to beat them so we can guarantee a spot in the SEC championship. And who knows, they may slip up against Kentucky. I think they do. Kentucky's got to drain the clock. They got to have multiple, like 10 plus play drives, burn that
Hmm.
clock down, run the ball effectively, and they gotta show up. And Texas coming off a lackluster performance against Arkansas, only scoring 20 points. Texas has to be able to move the ball. Quinn Ewers has to be able to, read the field, make the right throws, and the offense has to get going. But I don't know if I'm Kentucky. I'm sending pressure at Ewers. I am not letting him get comfortable at all.
Yeah,
I do have Kentucky to break the heart of Texas fans. What about you?
I'm going with big old Texas. I mean, I just think they're the much better team, and I don't see an upset in this scenario.
Horns down.
No,
Horns
no.
down. Horns. All right. On to the next game. We have BYU at Arizona State. BYU is coming off an embarrassing loss to Kansas, which could potentially just derail their entire college football playoff aspirations. They do
Hmm.
need to get back on track. They do need to beat Arizona State, in my opinion, by at least double digits to get back into the good graces of the committee. But I think there's other plans on the horizon. I think Arizona State sees what Kansas did to BYU, and Arizona State is seeing blood. They're seeing
Hmm.
red. They are ready for this game. The coach, I believe it was the coach of the AD of Arizona State, came out and said during a press conference, if you have a ticket and you're going to sell it or give it away, make sure you give it to an Arizona State fan. Don't give it to a BYU fan. Give it to Arizona State because he wants that stadium rocking. Um,
Yeah,
and I have Arizona State beating BYU and absolutely crushing their dreams of making it to the college football playoff.
I'll take the upset as well. I'm with you on it.
Alrighty. Now on to our next game. This is potentially the biggest game of the week. I was gonna be honest, second biggest, depending on how you view my last game, but Indiana at Ohio State. I believe this is the big noon Saturday game. I feel bad for Gus Johnson for having to commentate on Ohio State every single week. Feel
Yeah.
bad for him, but it is what it is. But Indiana is in a position to where they have to win or they
Hmm.
have to lose close. And when I mean close, I mean inside of a touchdown, inside of like 5 points. Indiana cannot afford a loss here because their strength of schedule, I believe, is 106th in the country.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so they either they got to lose close or they have to win. If they get blown out by Ohio State, Indiana's out. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
but that's just the realistic possibility here. They have to. They got to get kicked because you can't hold up against that type of competition. Their best win is against a 5-win Michigan team.
Hmm.
Not too good. Not too good. Ohio Ohio State does have the 1 point loss to Oregon and the win over Penn State. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
I understand.
But no, depending on what shakes out, this game could decide who's going to be facing Oregon in the Big Ten championship. As a Penn State fan, I'd be rooting for Indiana. Or wait,
Yes. That.
no, no,
Yes. Is that who I'm going to be rooting? Huh? Well, go ahead.
I no, I messed that up. I'd be rooting for Ohio State because in that way, Indiana has one loss to Ohio State, and then if
Hmm.
Ohio State loses next week, then Penn State has an outside shot of getting into the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, it's just impossible to root for Ohio State. You
Oh,
just
trust
can't
me,
do it.
Trust me, but
I
I hate to do it, even though I do hate him with a passion. But I do have Ohio State winning this game.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say earlier. Is that like, yeah, I think Ohio State is gonna get the win. I'm not really buying into the hopes of Penn State being in the Big Ten championship right now, but we're just gonna get. I think we're gonna get a playoff spot in there, but I just don't think we're gonna be in a championship game.
Like I said, there's an outside shot. Certain things
Mm.
have to happen. Like
They had to beat Ohio State. They couldn't get it done, so that they kind of blew. They shot themselves in the foot with it.
yeah, best chances that Ohio State beats Indiana by more points than what they beat Penn State from, and then Ohio State losing next week if they play. I believe they play another conference opponent.
Okay.
So that'd be your best bet because then two loss Ohio State, and then theoretically if Penn State wins out, you only have one loss. You'd face Oregon in the championship for that chance to get a top four seed in
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
bracket. But on to, in my opinion, the biggest game of the week: Army versus Navy at
All
Yankee
right.
Stadium.
That's right.
At Yankees, Notre Dame is favored by 14, but the way I am seeing this and how everything could pan
Hold
out,
on. Can I pause real quick?
what
You just called it an Army Navy game, and then had Notre Dame as a favorite.
Army versus Notre Dame by 14 points at
There you
Yankee
go.
Stadium. There we
Bro
go.
said Army Navy. I have Notre Dame. And I was like, wait a minute.
No, but that's my fault. I just seen the end for Notre Dame and went Navy because I'm already thinking about the Army Navy game. But no, Army versus Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored by 14 at Yankee Stadium. Depending on how everything turns out, we could be in a realistic scenario to where Boise State gets the 4 seed, right? Because the conference championship, and Army sneaks in as the fifth conference champion, and we only have three of the Power Fours in. That is a realistic scenario that I think the committee is going to try and avoid. Granted, not likely. We're probably going to see Colorado in as that last conference champion above
Right.
Boise State, but I'll
Mhm.
get into my predictions later. But no, Bryson Daly was out 2 weeks ago, I believe. This is gonna be a second game back from an unknown, unexplained injury. Didn't look that good against I forget who they played last week, but didn't look that good. They only scored I think 14 points. Army still got the win, but the offense has got to keep doing what they're doing, and I mean like 13 plus play drives, taking an entire quarter off the clock. The
Mhm.
one thing you got to do to beat Notre Dame is run the ball effectively, take time off the clock, and limit possessions. Once you limit Notre Dame's possessions, they start crumbling. All right, that's what Army has to do. Bryson Daly has to be effective, and they got to be able to sneak in a pass play here or there, whether it's to a running back on a wheel route or a wide receiver across the middle. They got to be able to just sprinkle in pass plays here and there if they want to win. Notre Dame, they just have to show up and take care of business.
Mhm.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that Army's on this incredible run, they would possibly have the easiest road to the college football playoff because they don't have a conference. And I
Yeah.
know we talked about that before. It's not the 1950s. Join a damn conference, Notre Dame. There's no aura in being an independent anymore. I know we talked about this before, but in my opinion, Army, Navy, Air Force are the only teams that should be an independent. That's just my opinion. But Notre Dame, join the ACC, join the Big Ten, join one of them.
Mhm.
You know, go join a conference because I'm getting tired of seeing Notre Dame just not play anyone the entire year. They play maybe one team, one or two teams, and then just cakewalk the rest of the year, and everyone puts them up on a pedestal like they're I don't know, like they already won the national championship. I'm getting
Mhm.
tired of seeing it. Join a conference. That's just my thing. But no, I got Army to beat Notre Dame and give the college football committee an entirely new problem that they probably never even seen coming.
All partially wants Army to win, and that's what I'm going to be rooting for. But I just don't think they have the offense to keep up with Notre Dame. And I think Notre Dame comes in as the better team. And I think they're going to come in. They're going to handle their business. I do think it's going to be a good game. I do think it's going to be a close game because I think Army's going to have it. They're not going to have multiple possessions they did like last game where they take a whole quarter off. That's just not going to happen. It's not realistic. But they could have multiple 5-6 minute drives and really like put that Notre Dame defense, make them tired. But I just think they're just not going to be able to score to keep up with Notre Dame.
Hey, I can see that, and that's why I said limit possessions. But obviously, if Notre Dame
Mm-hmm.
gets out there and gets up, 2, 3 touchdowns, it's gonna be harder
Yeah.
for Army to be able to reel that back in because of how their offense is. Granted, they've been trying to to expand their playbook, going out of the pistol, going out of the shotgun, trying different stuff. But Army just doesn't have the athletes, you know. But anything can happen on any given day, especially when you run the triple option. I love that offense. But
100%.
we're gonna get into a couple of other games I'm looking at because they do have college football implications. First
Okay.
one is Alabama at Oklahoma. Not going to dive deep into this, but Alabama coming in, going to be a top 10 team.
Hmm.
Probably going to possibly. I seen a couple of predictions have them winning the SEC. I don't know about that, but obviously,
Yeah.
if Oklahoma wanted to cause massive havoc here, if they can get a win against Alabama at home, that would go a long way in doing so. Next game, Ole Miss at Florida. Florida has looked great with DJ Lagway at quarterback. He's 3-0, and he has a win over LSU. Just saying. They've looked really,
Hmm.
really good with Lagway. I believe he started the Texas game, but didn't finish it because he got injured, and people were or it wasn't. I don't know if it was Texas, but there was one game that he started, he got injured, and he didn't play the rest of the game. And people said that if he played, there's a chance that Florida ends up winning. I'm I'm watching that game because that could easily be a Florida upset at home in Gainesville. Next one we have is Colorado at Kansas. Now, a lot of you are probably going to look at that game and be like, Colorado's going to walk all over them. Kansas beat BYU last week, I believe by 5 points. Kansas is a sneaky team. If you look past them, you could be down going into the fourth quarter and you could end up losing like BYU did. Colorado's got to take it seriously. This Kansas team is not that good. I'm gonna be honest. They only have I think 5 wins on the season, but who knows? I believe Kansas is at home, so there's another element for Kansas to win that. Don't know. Like I said, I think this is gonna be upset week.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think Colorado can um, beat Kansas and pretty much kind of almost solidify their spot in the Big 12 championship?
Yeah, I do think Colorado's going to win. Deion Sanders pretty much came out earlier and said he has no plans of leaving the program either. Because I know there's been this rumor that he might head to the NFL. I think they really have something down there in Colorado, and I think this is a year that I think this is a big year for them, and I do think they're going to win.
Hell yeah! I always love seeing like Deion Sanders when he went to I believe it was Jackson State.
Yeah, Jackson State. Yep.
Jackson State, I know he turned that program around and got them to a double-digit win season, I believe 11. Colorado,
Hmm.
turned it around in 2 years. So something special is going on over there in Boulder. Let's just
Hmm.
hope let's just hope everything keeps going. It would be
Yep.
amazing to see them in a college football playoff. But now
100%.
for my quick, projection on what I think everything's going to look like. Uh, Disclaimer, like I always do, this is my bracket. This is seeding 1 through 12. This is not my rankings. That's why teams are going to be at certain spots. But at number 1, I have Oregon. They struggled against Arkansas, but let's be honest, there's no reason to drop them
Hmm.
anymore. At 2, I have Texas. They did struggle too, but again, no real reason to drop them out or put anyone up at this point, in my opinion. At number 3, and it's Miami. I don't think they should be
Hmm.
here. I think SMU should be here, but realistically, looking with what the committee is going to do, as Miami will be here at the 3 spot. Shocker. I have Boise State as 4. I
Okay.
think they're going to be the fourth highest ranked conference champion. Um, Colorado is coming in at my 12 spot, and they will play number 5 Ohio State, and then at 6
Okay.
I have Penn State playing number 11 Georgia, number 7
Mm.
Indiana playing number 10 Ole Miss, and number 8 Notre Dame playing number 9 Alabama. What do you think about those?
I like it. I don't love the Georgia matchup. Game one for Penn State. It's looking like a upset, I guess you can call it. But
Upset.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't love that
Granted, that's just me moving them around just a little bit. It could be,
for sure.
Penn State versus Ole Miss because they,
Yeah, no, I get you.
bump
Yeah,
Georgia up. It is
it's
kind
gonna be
of
a
a
tough
rough
game no matter what.
ranking. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, honestly, for Penn State and for my Vols, it's gonna be best that somehow Alabama and Ole Miss lose.
Yeah.
to Florida and to Oklahoma, because that'll pretty much kind of just push them out of the picture, and that's, two less teams in front of my Vols and two less SEC teams that could potentially face Penn State. Even though you guys would
Yeah.
have that game at home, you guys went out, don't do anything stupid. You guys got home field advantage for the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's about all I got. I mean, like I said, I think this is gonna be the week of the upset. So if you're planning on watching some games, like I said, Indiana at Ohio State, I think that's gonna be a good one. Army versus Notre Dame, I believe that's actually the 7 o'clock game on NBC and Peacock. So if you are gonna watch a game tonight, Saturday night, check into that Army Notre Dame game. I think it's gonna be a good one. And then Kentucky at Texas. Texas is 20-point favorites. When I see that 20 points in an in-conference game, I don't buy it. I really don't buy it. So yeah, those are my picks for these four games, and that's my college football playoff bracket prediction for what the committee is going to be doing later tonight. Well, you guys already know tomorrow if I'm correct or not.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that extensive report. It was a pleasure to listen to all of it. And next, we have our Pretenders versus Contenders. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our partner. I am proud to announce we are partnered with W Energy Drink.
Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash, all while tasting amazing.
If you go to the link in the description, it will take you to our sponsored flavor, Push and Punch.
Use code TIMEOUTJG, that is TIMEOUTJG, at checkout for 10% off your order.
Thank you to W Energy for partnering with us, and back to the episode. Okay, now that we've heard a word from them, let's jump into our Pretenders versus Contenders, however you want to word it. I gave you a list earlier today about the teams I want to talk about, kind of give you an argument if you think they're contender or if they're pretender. Gosh, contender or pretender. I've said that so many times already. And we just have little arguments for either side, and we kind of talk about it. And I feel like for the most part, we'll probably be pretty similar in these teams, but you never know. Some teams we might feel a little bit higher on, a little bit lower on. I guess I have mine pulled up here. You want to start with the big one? Big old Boston Celtics?
They're pretenders. They can't. Well, I'm just kidding. They're
Yeah,
contenders.
yeah, that's right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
they're the favorites. I mean, there's not much more to say. I believe Chris Dabbs is going to with the G League affiliate to start practicing with them to get get some reps and start increasing volume and
Mm-hmm.
increasing intensity. But of course, Boston. Second in the East right now behind the Cavs, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe still the favorites, to go
Mm-hmm.
back to back. But my Celtics, I love them.
Yeah, this is a team. That's why I wanted to start with them because there's not really much to talk about with them. Like we just know they're. I still think they're the best team in the league. I understand they don't have the best record in the league, but I do think they're the best all around team in the league. And they haven't had Kristaps to start the season. Hasn't really mattered at all. Jaylen Brown's missed a couple games. Doesn't really matter. Like I think for them, as long as they stay relatively healthy, I think this is still their Eastern Conference to lose. You know what I mean? Like I think they have a good
Yeah,
shot to get to the conference finals. And of course, the next team we're going to talk about, the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think right now is their biggest threat, at least in the Eastern Conference, I should say. And but other than that, man, I don't really like. There's not really much you can look at. I guess maybe you can look. Maybe you don't have the greatest depth in the world, but you have a top five that's basically all stars, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
You know what I mean? When you have you have a couple guys off the bench, it's like it's just again, like I said, if you had to pick and choose, it's maybe health and depth, but I don't see either one of those really being an issue for them.
yeah. No, they're a really good overall, all around team in my opinion, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much 15-0. By the time you guys see this, we'll know if they're still undefeated at 16-0 or if Boston will beat them tonight. But shout out to the Cavs. They've been playing really, really good. I believe this is the first 15-0 start since like the Warriors when they
Mm-hmm.
got KD, or when they went on that crazy run where they broke the
Mm-hmm.
record. I can't remember exactly what, but this Cavs team playing really good, playing amazing. Shout out to Spider Donovan.
Well, yeah. Well, let's go ahead and talk about them because they're the next team on the list. The Cavaliers. What do you have?
Contenders.
Mm-hmm.
That's just you cannot look at this team and be like, oh, they're pretenders. I mean, they're 15-0, best record in the NBA, undefeated. Just you got arguably one of the best shooting guards in the league in Donovan Mitchell. And I mean, you got Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. I mean, this team is just built to compete, and they are just pushing forward, and they are ready to win.
Yeah, 100%. I have them as contenders as well. Like I said, yeah, 15-0. we'll know after. Well, by the time this comes out, you guys will know if they beat Boston last night, or if they lose and the streak comes to an end. Them losing a game doesn't matter in the slightest. Honestly, at this point in time,
No,
you're not going to go 82-0. You're not going to go undefeated. So just if you lose a game, especially to a team like the Boston Celtics, I don't think you're worried at all. I think
no,
the only way you get worried is if you get absolutely manhandled and you just look awful. I'm like, maybe it's like, oh man, what happened that night where it's like we really have to work on that. But other than that, I don't think there's much they have to do. Last year, I think part of the biggest reason that they're playing so well right now and they're undefeated right now that I think is going to eventually cool off is their 3-point shooting. Last year, they were middle of the pack, 15%, 15th in 3-point accuracy, like 3-point percentage. Right now, they're the best in the league, shooting almost 42% from three. And a lot of it's because Max Strus and Sam Morril have not played at all this season, and they're two of their shooters. Right now, Karis LeVert, who is a career 34% shooter from three, is shooting 46%. Donovan Mitchell, a career 37% shooter, is shooting 42%. And Darius Garland, a career 39% shooter, is shooting 46%. And then right now, Ty Jerome has the argument for the best backup point guard in the league. He's playing absolutely phenomenal. He played in 2 games last year because he was hurt. 2 games. And he's a career 37% three-point shooter. Right now, he's shooting 54% from three. Ty Jerome
excuse
has
me.
been Ty Jerome has been phenomenal to start this season, and I think it's legit. I don't think obviously he's not going to shoot 54% the whole season, but I think this isn't a hot start for. Well, I think it's a hot start for Ty Jerome for like shooting percentage wise, but I think he's legitimately one of the best backup point guards in the league at this moment because he's been in the league for years and he's like a 6'5", 6'6" guard. He can do a lot of everything. He can shoot, he can pass, he can defend. Like I think honestly, I think the backcourt right now between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, if the All-Star game was today, that's your starting backcourt in the All-Star game. They've both been phenomenal right now, and I don't think there's a better. I guess LaMelo Ball. I think LaMelo Ball's been better than Darius Garland, but I don't think there's been a lot of guards in the East so far to start the season that have been better than Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland.
I can't argue with you there. Both of them have been amazing, and some of the reason that they're on this winning streak like they are. But also shout out Evan Mobley and Jared Allen for playing
Of course,
defense interiorly, stepping out when they need to. But shout out to those two. Evan Mobley for most improved player. Stamping it
respectfully,
right now.
I'm not bullshitting you. I'm being dead ass. If the All Star game was today, they have a case of having 4 All Stars
Yeah,
because Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen have all been fantastic to start the season, and that's just not. I understand. Well, it's part of the reason because they're undefeated, but like they're all playing at All Star levels. I think compared to the competition they have in the East, they're just playing better than other players in the position at the East. Like it
yeah,
sounds crazy to have your starters in the All Star game, but again, right now in November, what is it? November 19th, as we're
19th.
recording this, I think the 4 of them would be All Stars. So I think we both had them marked as contenders, right?
Yep.
Anything else about them before we move on?
No, no, I don't. Don't got anything.
All right, next, Milwaukee Bucks.
Pretenders.
Yeah,
I'm not buying the narrative that's gonna be here soon thrown out that they're gonna turn it around and they're gonna make a push for the playoffs or for the play-in. It's not happening. I'm sorry, but this team is just ass. From the coaching staff to the play, like I shouldn't say players because they're trying their hardest, but like we've talked about a lot, Giannis and Dame are just not gelling right. I think Brooke Lopez had the most points in their last win. Bobby Portis is starting to play a little bit better, but there's nobody to fix the gashing wound that the Bucks have right now. And I think that they either have to address the situation or they just gotta be like, hey, we're just going into a pure rebuild because we just don't have the cap room or the assets or whatever to build a competitive team with Giannis as our centerpiece.
I'm doing it.
Don't.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm not confident in it. I'm not. This isn't like a. But I'm saying contender because the biggest idea is you have 2 of the best players, one of the best players in the league, and one of the best players at their position. When you have a top 3 player in the league like Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're always going to be a threat to make a deep playoff run. It's just how it is. The best players with Jokic, LeBron, and years past, Steph Curry, they're going to get their teams into the playoffs. They're going to get their teams deep in the playoffs because they're the best. And Damian Lillard has been pretty good this season. He's had like 2 games that were like kind of rough, but he's pretty much been really, really good this season. They're 5-9 right now. They're on what I think a 2-game. They've won 2 games in a row. They won their game last night against the Rockets because Fred VanVleet could not get a good pass off, and Alperen Sengun could not catch a pass wide open in the paint. He was wide open in the paint because Giannis ran to cover Jalen Green, and he just couldn't catch the ball. And Ime Udoka was pissed and walked off the court early, and there was that whole thing. But they won the game. That's what mattered. I just listen again. I'm not sitting here saying they're not a favorite of mine to win a championship. It's Cleveland, it's Boston out of the East right now. But when you have a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is arguably the best player in the league, second best player in the league, I truly think he was having a career year. Damian Lillard is looking a lot better than he was last season. Chris Middleton's coming back eventually, and he's not going to fix a lot of issues. We said this before that we don't think Chris Middleton's going to fix a lot of issues, but he's going to bring familiarity to Giannis Antetokounmpo because he's been his running mate for years, and even through their last championship, it's going to solve some issues with spacing and a little bit of defense. Bobby Portis was playing pretty bad to start the season, so him playing better has been nice. Brook Lopez, his offensive game is finally starting to turn around a little bit. You're still seeing his age. Gary Trent Jr. had a good start to the last game. I just think they still have a hole to climb out of. They're 5-9, but they're in a better position than some other teams in this list that are down here. But I think Doc Rivers, again, I know neither one of us are a fan of him. We're not fans of him, but I do think if they can get themselves together, I would not be surprised to see these guys slip into the second round, maybe the conference finals.
Ooh, okay.
That's my hot take of this
I,
episode. That's my hot take.
I respect it. I can see where you're coming from, but I just don't see it happening.
And it's okay. It's okay we disagree. Other than you're fucking stupid. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Don't get me started.
I'm kidding. Next, we have the New York Knicks.
I have them in contenders. I know they played a little bit rough to start the season, but I feel like they're starting to get things around. Cat's offensive game and rebounding is really coming to fruition with the Knicks. Jalen Brunson is the king of New York.
Yes.
That's just what he is. Those two together are starting to starting to play good together. And then obviously you got Bridges, you got Josh Hart. Everything's just starting to come together for them, in my opinion, right now after the little bit of a rocky start. But no, I'm high on this Knicks team to finish third in the East when it's all said and done. I think they're contenders, and they're going to give the Cavs, the Celtics, or whoever they face in that second round, they're going to give them problems.
Yeah, no, I also have the Knicks as contenders as well. Right now, Karl Anthony Towns is letting opponents shoot 73% from within 6 feet of the paint. It's bad. It was in the 90s a few games ago, so it's getting better, I guess. So you can only do what you got to do. Mikal Bridges defensively hasn't been great to start the season. I think I don't know if they've been super happy with what they've gotten from Mikal Bridges to start the season, but OG Anunoby is still one of the better wing defenders in the league. Jalen Brunson, after kind of a slow start, is really picking it up and playing well. Josh Hart is just always going to be there for energy rebounding. I do think, like you said, Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are kind of figuring out how to play together, and that's something I think a lot of us expected coming into the season. They brought in Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns. Those are 2 high-profile players to add onto your team. That's not going to just right out the gate be a smooth sailing. Those are guys that Mikal Bridges the past year and a half in Brooklyn had the ball in his hands all the time, and Karl Anthony Towns pretty much for a good part of his career was the number 1 guy over there in Minnesota, and now they're behind a guy like Jalen Brunson, who, like you said, he's the king of New York. That is their guy. So it's trying to figure out, and Kat kind of had some experience with this the past 3 or so years with Anthony Edwards really emerging as the number 1 guy on the Minnesota team. And then Mikal Bridges was a third, fourth option on that Phoenix team a couple years ago. But it's they both were kind of fluctuating in their roles before they got to New York. And it's all right, what version of Cat do I need to be on this Knicks team? Or what version of Mikal Bridges do I need to be on this Knicks team? And I think that's something it took a little bit to figure out. But I think, like you said, they're getting around the corner. And I think they're going to be finishing third in the East.
Yeah, no, I'm high on this Knicks team. I know I'm a Celtics fan, burn me at the stake for saying this, but I think this Knicks team, when it's all said and done, could potentially make a run for the Eastern Conference Finals, potentially even the NBA Finals. All depends
I
on how
agree.
everything falls out. And hopefully they don't deal with the injury bug like they did last year. Hopefully
Hmm.
they all stay healthy because that is when basketball is at its best. When all the teams are healthy, all the teams are ready to go.
Yeah. Next is the Philadelphia 76ers.
You already know where I'm putting them. Pretenders. This team
Yeah.
is somehow this team is worse than the Bucks. I mean, Embiid has not looked good. I was gonna say that now. He's looked sluggish. He's looked slow. The two bright spots on that team are Tyrese Maxey, who I believe has an injury right now, and he's evaluated in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think so. And then obviously Jared McCain. Paul George has not been playing as good as everyone thought he would be, but he had that injury in the preseason, so hopefully he turns it up here soon. But no, this for a team like this, and especially with Joel Embiid, it's just not good. I believe
Hmm.
they're last in the East. They're tied for last in the East with the Wizards. If that says anything about
Yeah.
the season so far. Like I said before, even if Embiid somehow does play 50 games, I still don't think this team really makes that big of a push into the playoffs. I don't even think they make the play-in.
See, yeah, no, I have them as pretenders. I do think they're going to make the play-in. I don't think they're going to completely miss the playoffs. But they are 2-11. They are one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league right now because uh, Joel Embiid and Paul George both missed the start of the season. Paul George came back, it's not been good. Joel Embiid just came back, like we talked about earlier, hasn't been very good. Tyrese Maxey's now been out for the past week or so, and it's going to be out for a couple more weeks. Um, and yeah, I mean, we've seen the emergence of Jared McCain, which is, I think, a bright spot for the 76ers team. It's like, okay, now because of the injuries, we've let Jared McCain kind of handle the ball and we can kind of see what he can do. So that's a good thing to have. Gershon, obviously, like I said, I mentioned earlier, a lot of people thought because he's been playing overseas for years is like if he would translate to the NBA and listen, he can defend, he can shoot. That's stuff that's always going to get you a job in the NBA. So it's
Yep.
looking pretty good for him. He's probably going to keep himself in the league for a little bit longer. He's got some years on himself. He's like 28, 29, I think. So he's got some years to go. Um, the problem is, like we talked about, they're 2-11. So to make, we're just assuming the Eastern Conference is not good right now, so I think that is helpful for them to make the play in because it's not like there's a lot of teams. There's only like 3 teams over 500 right now in the Eastern Conference, so it's not like they're really fighting with anybody to make the play in. You know what I mean? They win. Joel Embiid comes back and they win 5 out of their next, or Joel Embiid like kind of plays more like himself and they win 5 out of their next 6 games. They're right in it again. You know what I mean? Is they don't have a lot of time. They need to start moving now, but it's not like they have to have a 50-win season to make the play in. You know what I mean? This
Yeah.
they could make the play in at 40 wins in the Eastern Conference, and I think that's part of the reason I think they're going to make the play in, just because it's not a very threatening, daunting Eastern Conference. But yeah, man, you're paying all this money for Paul George to not be good. Your best player to start the season was Tyrese Maxey. He's out. Joel Embiid, it, he's not looking good on offense. He's not looking good on defense. He's just not moving. And then now you have all this stuff going on with Tyrese Maxey calling him out for being late to meetings. So not only is he not playing in games, he's late to these meetings. It's a weird situation there in Philly. And I think, Paul George over the past couple of years has definitely started to be a lot more of a talker to things he's not really backing up on the court. Over the past couple of years, where he kept saying on his podcast that he's going to bring some bully ball, and this is not who Paul George has been. He's made the comments talking about the Clippers on the podcast like last week that the Clippers weren't really filling out their seats, and like he's like, oh, get your asses in the seats if you want to support your team because they were booing him when he went back to play the Clippers. And it's like, why you guys are 2-11? Why are you worried about what the hell's going on with the Clippers? Like, you're gone. You're on the team. You're not on the team anymore. Norman Powell made those comments over the offseason that, like, maybe the Clippers would be better this season because, like, the addition by subtraction. Paul George is off the team and let some other guys get the ball in their hands. And Norman Powell's been really good to start the season. And it's like, then he made a comment about that, how it's like, it's no big deal. It's like, it seems like, I like Paul George. I've been a fan of Paul George for a long, long time. But it seems like these past 2 to 3 years, it's starting to get a lot more like he's talking about a lot of different stuff, and it's not really as focused on his NBA game. And like I have no problem with Paul George having his podcast. I listen to it every week. I think it's a really really good podcast. You get to learn a lot about the NBA and like the players and like what goes on behind the scenes that you don't see obviously normally. But it's just like there's no reason when your team is this bad. I don't think even if they were 11-2 instead of 2-11, there's no reason for you to be talking about Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers, Norman Powell, the Clippers fans. It's like it just seems like it's a train wreck over there, and I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad over there for the 76ers. Hopefully they soon find whatever direction they're gonna go, and you know, shout out to them. Hope them nothing but the best, I guess.
Yeah. The Pacers, right? I give you the Pacers, right?
Yep,
Okay.
I gotta put them in contenders.
Ooh. Okay.
Yep, yep. I gotta put them in contenders. Halliburton and Pascal are gonna do something crazy here coming up soon, and they're gonna help surge this team to be better. I know Miles Turner did go out with an injury, and they did get Moses Brown. Shout out to Pee Wee the plug. He actually they had a question on numbers on the board, and it was who would you rather sign, Dwight Howard or Moses Brown? And Pee Wee said Moses Brown. So shout out to him for that. He pretty much predicted the future, but no, this Pacers team, I believe, is still hungry. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year. I hopefully this is not like the Hawks with Trae Young when they made the Eastern Conference Finals one time, and now it's pretty much the limit of their success. I think this
Mm-hmm.
Pacers team can make a run at the Eastern Conference, and potentially who they get in the Eastern Conference Finals could make it to the finals. But yeah, I do have them in contenders.
I yeah, I don't think they're. I think they're pretenders, man. I don't think they're there at all right now. Their best player, Tyrese Halliburton, has been anything but that. He's not been good to start the season. Pascal's had his moments. He's been pretty good for them, but it's just this team has a lot of injuries right now. Tyrese Halliburton's not playing that well, and I do fully truly believe that they are similar to that 2021 Hawks team. I don't want them to be, and I'm not saying that like I'm happy about it, but I think that I genuinely think that's what it is. I just think they had a good run. They just aren't that good of a team yet. They have a lot of young talent between Benedict Mathurin, Ben Shepherd, Andrew Nimhard, Jarris Walker. Like even Tyrese Halliburton is still relatively young. Like they have a lot of young talent on the team, but Andrew Nimhard's been hurt. Like I said, Miles Turner's now out. Ben Shepherd missed the last game. Like they just have so many injuries for the young guys that I just don't think they're gelling like they should be. And I watched them and I'm like, right now, right now, minimum 100 3 point percent, 100. Oh my god, minimum 100 3 point attempts this season. Tyrese Halliburton is shooting 28.8%. He cannot hit a 3 pointer, and that's in 111 attempts. Like it's not good. It's not good. He's not been good. He's shot 30 over 40% 3 times to start his career, and now he's down to 28% this season. And we even saw this last year at the end of the season last year. He was not playing good after like the All-Star break. He had some big plays in the playoffs, and it's like I genuinely think something's going on with Tyrese Halliburton. Like I don't he was good for the first couple of years, so I don't think he's just like not a good player anymore, but it's like something either mentally or like the league has just kind of figured some stuff out with him where he's just not nearly as good anymore.
You know, he is not playing good right now, but I do think he is going to make that turn, and he's going to start
I
picking it up and playing. I'm not saying he's going to get back to what he was at the start of
the,
last
the
year,
the
but
problem is that's what they need. They need him to be that.
he's going to get playing better, and as the season goes on, he's going to play better. Spicy P is going to be playing. He's not going to be as inconsistent. I just I guess you could say I'm too trusting in this Pacers team to actually perform.
Yeah, I just right now everything I've been watching, I don't see we haven't seen Tyrese Halliburton consistently be that version of himself in almost a year now. Like it's been a while. So it's like I don't know if I can just sit here and say, yeah, he's gonna be better. Because it's like right now we just don't have any signs of it. Like he's just not playing good. So that's like, hey, it's okay. I made the Bucks contender, you didn't. You have the Pacers contenders, I don't. So there we go. We traded that back and forth, and we'll see which one of
Yep.
the comments think is crazier for believing in. Um, now I didn't put this team in there because I want to give a shout out. I want to talk about the Magic for a second. I didn't give you the Magic because I don't think right now they're in that conversation because of Paulo still being out. But they are still like what 9-6 right now. Like they're still a good team, and Franz Wagner has been phenomenal the past like however many games since Paolo's been out. So it's 20 plus points in 8 straight games, and he's averaging over that span. He's averaging 28 points, about 6 assists, and I mean he's pretty much doing similar stats to what Paolo was doing before he got injured. So that says something because a lot of people were very disappointed in Franz Wagner last season, us included. So the way he's playing right now is really really good. But again, I didn't put them in there because we don't know how long Paolo's still out for, and I think with Paolo, I, I I think with this team in the current state it's in, even with Paolo, I don't have them as contenders. Um, but that's just me personally.
You know, if they had Paulo, they'd be contenders in my opinion.
Really,
And it's
I just don't think they
purely
have enough consistency around him right now.
for me, it's just purely based off of a matchup standpoint. If they get the right matchups, they can go the whole way. And I know people could make a claim for that for a lot of teams, but as a Celtics fan, whenever we play the Magic, it is a very tough time. So if the Magic could get through the first round, face a second round,
Mm-hmm.
they always just play us tough for some reason. We usually either it's like we play them 3 times a year. They'll win two, we'll win one. Obviously it's the playoffs and the Celtics will turn it up, but you
Mm-hmm.
just never know. But I
I
do
guess
think that they could be contenders.
I guess my definition of contender is I think you make the conference finals, and I think there's a chance you win the finals. That's how I view contender. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't know if we maybe view it slightly different. I just don't see a world where this Magic team is in the conference finals.
Like I said,
Because then
it's more of
you have to beat either the Celtics, the Cavs, the Knicks, or something like that to get to the conference. And I just don't think they can do it in a 7 game series. At least as of right now. Obviously, like in 2 3
yeah,
years, it could be a different story. But as of the team right now today,
that's respectable. But like I said, I like I told multiple times, the one team I don't want to face in the playoffs is the Magic.
mm-hmm.
That's just how I feel. And but no, this Magic team with Paulo, if Franz keeps playing like he is, Paulo comes back. This Magic team could be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. Next, that is it for the Eastern Conference. Any other Eastern Conference teams you kind of want to talk about real quick before we move on?
No,
Yeah, because I thought about the Heat, but they finally had a good game last night, where Jimmy Butler played well, Bam Adebayo played well, but it's been kind of rough down there in Miami. Western Conference, Dallas Mavericks.
I have them in pretenders. I
Okay,
just
okay.
I think they're also a team. Obviously, they do have Luca, they have Kyrie, they have Clay, but I feel like this team you could argue has a kind of a similar like trajectory, in my opinion, as that Hawks team because they made the finals when pretty much everyone had like the Timberwolves winning it, no one really had the Mavs going that way. They finally make it the whole way, and then they get beaten 5 games. Obviously, that could be just fuel in the fire for Luca to get back to the NBA Finals, but I just don't think with the supporting cast he has, I don't think he I don't think they're contenders. I don't think you could arguably say that they could have a path to where they can make the Western Conference Finals and win it and potentially make it to the NBA Finals. I just don't see that path with how stacked the West is right now.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think at this point today, I think the Pretenders. Now, I think if we revisit this in a month, I could see them as maybe contenders again. But yeah, like you said, we're going off of right now. So you don't if you're a Mavs fan, don't come back in 3 months and clip this and be like, hey, look at us, we're the third seed. We're talking about today, November 19th, as we're recording this. But if you want to clip us, whatever, I don't really care. Right now, they have the ninth ranked defense, which is pretty good considering Luka Doncic is widely known as not a great defender. Klay Thompson just not really able to shoot the ball still anymore. Kyrie Irving's been really, really good. I think Luka Doncic. I think honestly, Luka Doncic statistically is always going to look good. Like it's always going to look good. But I honestly think Luka Doncic has had a pretty slow start to the season. I don't think he's been as great as we want him to be, and obviously defensively, it's not been good. I would be damn near pressed to say Kyrie Irving, this all-around player, has been better this to start the season. I think Kyrie Irving has been their best player. Again, if people are going to look at stats and be like, they're going to show me stats and be like, obviously Luka's been better. But I think if you actually watch these games, I think just Kyrie's been the more consistent, all-around better player. And obviously, I don't think it's going to last. Luka Doncic is one of the best in the league. And I guess that's maybe a bit of a pushback I might have on the idea that they're like the Hawks. Because I think Luka Doncic is light years ahead of like Tyrese Halliburton in the sense that like Luka's one of the best in the league, And I think, like I made the comment earlier with Giannis, I think if you have one of the best players in the league, you're consistently going to be pushing into the playoffs, into the second, third round of the playoffs. So maybe I get a little bit of pushback there, but I don't have them as pretenders as of right now. I don't really see a world where they hit the conference finals, especially not the finals right now. I I don't I don't really know. I mean, Dante Exum should be back here soon because he had his wrist surgery, and that's going to help their defense as well. That's already top 10. So I guess you're just hoping Luka kind of fully gets himself back together. Klay Thompson can hit some shots, and then like PJ Washington gives you a similar stretch that they did last season.
Yeah, I just like you said, like I said, I just don't trust this team. I don't trust that Clay is gonna be able to pull back into prime Clay. Obviously that's just not the case. I just don't think this team is built to be
Mm-hmm.
able to get that far like they did last year.
This one's gonna be a fun one. The Denver Nuggets.
I'm gonna get some hate for this, but I have them in pretenders.
Hey, I'm gonna be there with you because I have them as pretenders as well. Right as again, right now, pretenders.
Yeah, right now, not 2 months from now, right now. But no, it's pretty much just been the Jokic show.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what it's been. Jamal Murray has not looked good. Michael Porter Jr. is he just doing Michael Porter Jr. things. He's shooting the ball. That's all he's doing.
not
And
even that well either.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't even think he was doing it that well. The brightest spot behind Jokic was Aaron Gordon. Is he injured? For,
Oh,
for some
remember
reason,
he's got that calf strain. He's out for a while.
that's right. That's right. So now you technically, in my opinion, you lost your second best player
Yeah,
right now. I know people are gonna say Jamal Murray's the second best, but come on,
he's
he's not
not
playing
this
like
season.
that.
We know
No,
that
no,
this
he's not
season.
been playing like that. It's been the Jokic show, and we've seen teams where it's pretty much as far as this guy takes us, and he doesn't have the supporting cast. They don't last too well. They don't last long. Like I say, right now, I have them in pretenders. I just don't see a path where they. I just don't see a path where they make it to the conference championship.
I've missed pretenders as well. The past two games Jokic hasn't been playing. I think it's been like personal issues, and I think that was the last night they played against the Grizzlies, or was that the night before? That was on Sunday night, so 2 nights ago they lost to the Grizzlies team by 15. Then the game before that, the first game Jokic missed, they lose by 7 to the Pelicans team that has nobody. And we'll look at this. Michael Porter Jr. has 24. Jamal Murray only has 16. The Pelicans starting lineup for this game was Brandon Boston Jr., Javonte Green, Brandon Ingram, Trey Murphy III, and Yves Messi. And Brandon Boston Jr. gave him 19, 17 from Trey Murphy, 29 from Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram had a very, very good game. But honestly, you should not be losing to this Pelicans team. You know, I understand you're missing Jokic, who's the best player in the world, in my opinion. I think he's still the best in the league. But, like, Christian Braun's been pretty good to start the season. Jamal Murray has not been. Dario Saric was their starting center and didn't really do much. Peyton Watson was starting. This team is just not good without Jamal Murray or without Nikola Jokic. And even with Nikola Jokic, they, they they started the season really, really badly, and then they went on a stretch where they won a few games in a row. It's like, oh, okay, maybe Denver is kind of back to what it is. And then Jokic is not playing his last two games, and they just look like shit again. So it's this entire team, like you mentioned, is completely riding on Jokic. And as of right now, I have them as pretenders, man. I don't know. Aaron Gordon, like I said, is gonna be out for weeks. Jamal Murray has only scored over 20 points, I think. What was that? 3 times through 11 games. He's only had over 23 times, and that's just not. Jamal Murray is known as a guy that can score the ball. Michael Porter Jr. has not really been shooting that well. It's not good, man. Their bench is bad too, so it's not good over there in Denver. And Jokic usually covers up a lot of those mistakes, but he's not really been able to, especially these past
Seems
two
like,
games not playing.
it seems like Jamal Murray only turns it up when it's in the playoffs against the Lakers.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
No, but we've seen a script like this before from like a one man team. We've seen it with Jokic when he didn't have help a couple years ago when he won his first MVP, and we've seen it in the past with Russ on OKC. I believe they made it to like the seventh seed when he
Mhm.
won his MVP, averaging a triple double. These teams just don't last. They can get you. He can get you into the playoffs, but maybe win the first round. But even then, that's a stretch depending on who you go against.
Yeah. Next is the Golden State Warriors.
I have them in Pretenders.
Yeah, okay, okay.
I just they have Curry. They have some good things going on over there in Golden State. You know, Draymond is doing Draymond things. I feel like everyone's seen what he did to Zach Edey when he grabbed his foot. But no, I just don't trust this Warriors team to hold this pace and hold what they're doing for an entire year. Obviously, Buddy Hield's been playing pretty damn good. He's been shooting his three
Yeah.
very effectively. Steph Curry's been good. I just in an 82 game season with what remainder that we have left so far, I just can't trust this Warriors team to be playing as well as they are when it comes game 82 and it's time for the playoffs. I have them in pretenders.
Honestly, I have them as contenders. They say defense travels, and right now they have the number 4 defense in the league. They're playing really really well defensively. D'Anthony Melton, when he's healthy, has been pretty good. Steph Curry, we know, is still one of the best players in the league. He's still got it at like 36 years old. Kuminga, they've been trying to figure him out. Drummond Green's been good. Tracy Jackson Davis has been good. And AirPods just had an injury, and I think Kevin Looney's hurt now as well. But I just think they have such a good, like, their bench is solid. You have D'Anthony Melton, Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, Looney when he's healthy. It's like they just have a really, really good bench. Steve Kerr has played 11 players, at least 11 players in every single game. They have a deep, deep rotation, and it's allowing players not to get overtaxed on the court because they can constantly moving people in and out. And I think it's actually a really, really great thing. We know in the playoffs that 11 man is going to get down to like a 9, 10, probably like an 8 to 9 man rotation from 11 once we get playoff time. But you now have the ability to be like, okay, we have an 8 man rotation, but 2 of these guys aren't playing well. I can bring in 2 of these guys that were playing earlier in the season to jump in the lineup. Like, it gives you more flexibility because you kind of see what you have from these players. And I just think they're legitimately good. I think they're off to a really, really hot start. I don't think they're going to finish as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference, but this is a team that it's Steph Curry, man. Steph Curry and Draymond Green, you really cannot count them out for anything. And I think they legitimately have a team around them this year that they're not worried about feeding Klay Thompson about, with his reputation. They're not worried about that, man. They're like, Steph's like, okay, this is my team. I get to control everything, and we're good.
I can understand that. I can see that. But when you don't overtax your players, or you don't get them used to playing heavy minutes, when it comes to playoff time, when you need them to play heavy minutes, they could become fatigued. But
I look at this team, and it's
yeah.
like these guys are all used to it, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Listen,
Like I said, I just right now looking forward, I just don't see them holding up and playing like they are for 82 games. And
listen. Right
that's
now,
my
they're both
opinion.
they're top 5 in offense and defense right now. Just to at this point in time, so they're just that good. And again, it's like all these guys, pretty much all these guys on the team are used to playing heavy minutes because they've been through multiple championship runs. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue. I don't know. I don't see it as an issue personally. Next, we have the Los Angeles Lakers.
Contenders. I mean,
That's right.
they got the MVP and Depoy and Rookie of the Year. They got Anthony Davis,
Yeah.
LeBron. They got Dalton Connect. I mean, I just this Lakers team, I feel like is the best team that they've had since that championship in 2020. You know, the Mickey
Mhm.
Mouse ring. Oh.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
No, but this team is just, I feel like, the best team that they've had since that run. You have the defense, whether you want to put Christie out there for the defense or you want to put Reddish out there. Then off the bench, in my opinion, what you should be doing is running Rui, D'Lo, um, Koloko, or Jackson Hayes when he comes back. I feel like your starting lineup should be LeBron, AD, Reeves, Connect, and Reddish, and then Christie off the bench. But this team just looks good in my opinion, and I feel like they could beat almost every team in the West in a 7 game series.
Yeah, I have them as contenders as well. They are though kind of like similar to what I was saying in the Eastern Conference. I think they're contenders, but I'm not completely bought into this team fully contending just because I think they still have some glaring issues. Perimeter defense is still something they need to worry about. 3-point shooting, we still don't really shoot the 3-point. Um, I think guys, I think D'Angelo Russell is going to be off the team come trade deadline, and I think they need to bring in some type of perimeter defense, some type of guard play, maybe even a center. The report came out that they're looking for a center, which is very, very big. I hope it's not Valanciunas, but it's probably going to be Valanciunas. I won't be mad at it, but I wouldn't love it. I just don't really know how he kind of like fits into the team. Um, because I honestly I don't want AD playing the 4. I want AD being our 5. And I think a front court of AD and Valanciunas would be kind of gross. I don't like that. Um, so I don't really know what they're going to do, but I think they do need to make one trade here at the deadline to really kind of smooth out some spots. Right now, yeah, Anthony Davis, like you mentioned, he's averaging 31.1 points per game, which is a career high. And LeBron James also has a career low for usage percentage. So we're not having LeBron James on the court nearly as much as they usually do, which I think for a guy that's damn near 40 years old is actually for the better. And he's been really good. He's had 4 straight triple doubles. Like he's been very good, even with a career low in usage percentage. So he doesn't have the ball in his hands nearly as much as he used to do, but he's able to get things done because they're throwing the ball through Anthony Davis. Austin Reeves has the ball in his hands a lot of times too. Dalton Connect's been really, really good in some moments. He has some big shots. And yeah, I don't know. Things are rolling really, really good for the Lakers right now. I think JJ Redick's really been a good head coach for us. A lot of it is relying on Anthony Davis right now, and LeBron James playing as good as he has been. So I do think they need to kind of iron out some things and help defensively before I really am super, super confident in them being contenders.
Yeah, I can understand that. There's a name we talked about off and on here for trade. Lakers should go try and get Walker Kessler.
I'm not heavy into that. I don't like
You're
Walker
not?
Kessler as much as some other people do. I don't think he's a bad player by any means, but I think he is what he is at this point in time. I don't know. He had a good rookie year and then he wasn't good year 2 and he's been better this year, but it's just I, I don't know. There's just something about him that I'm not as high on him as other people are. I would prefer to get Colin Sexton if we're getting anybody from them.
Colin Sexton and Walker Kessler, because then there's
I
your
mean,
backup 5.
maybe, but again, it's like you also have to worry what are the Jazz gonna want? Danny Ainge is gonna want some dumb shit because that's what he does,
Yeah.
and
He
like
wants
he's gonna
picks.
want D'Lo. No, he's not gonna want D'Lo because he's like, what use do I have for D'Lo? He's not gonna want Jared Vanderbilt because he doesn't play. They're gonna try to do some dumb shit, and be like, oh, well, give me Austin Reeves then. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're like, I just trading with Danny Ainge is just something I don't want to do.
Danny Ainge loves to fleece people.
Yes, he very, very does, very much does.
Go ask the Nets
Yeah.
how that turned out.
All right, next the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I feel like I'm gonna get some heat for this. I have them in pretenders.
Mm-hmm.
This team just, for me, just doesn't have the juice that last year's team did that made it to the Western Conference Finals. And in my opinion, was the better team, but got caught lacking by the Mavs last year.
Mm-hmm.
This Wolves team just doesn't have the juice that they had last year going into the season so far. I don't know specifically what the juice is. They just don't have it this year. Whether it's the defense, I just don't know. I'm not confident in this Wolves team that they can get it done.
I agree. I have this Pretenders as well. Julius Randle did just hit the game winner, which was really cool. Dante DiVincenzo cannot shoot the ball right now at all. At all. Anthony Edwards is shooting the ball really, really well right now. Mike Conley has not been good to start the season. Right now, last year, and part of their Western Conference Finals run, Mike Conley was had a true shooting percentage of 62%, pretty much about 63%, which is the highest of his 18-year career. Right now, over the first month of the season, it's all the way down to a career low of 48% true shooting. And right now, he's only shooting 34% from 3, and his points in the paint, he's not scoring in the paint. Right now, Mike Conley has not been good. And bad point guard play is not good for this Timberwolves team that has a lot of guys that need set up. Jaden McDaniels still really doesn't have an offensive game. Rudy Gobert has had to take on more of a true inside defender role because he doesn't have Cat out there to help with him. Last year, Cat was able to be the number one defender in the sense of body to body, and Rudy Gobert was able to kind of be the roamer and like come in for the blocks or like be the help defender, and kind of like similar to what Giannis has done in his career, where he's like one of the best help side defenders and one of the best shot blockers in the league. But now because Julius Randle's there instead of Cat, Julius Randle and Cat I think are pretty similar level defenders, but Cat is just a bigger body. And without that, Rudy Gobert has had to kind of take on more of that one-on-one assignment on defense against the centers. And I think their defense is worse than last year. Their offense is worse than last year. Again, they brought in Julius Randle for Cat. Just like we said with the Knicks, it's going to take some time to mesh because that's a big guy that wants the ball in his hands. So that's going to take some time, but I don't know. I don't think this is the year for them. I think maybe next year, after a year working together in the offseason gel, maybe they can be back into a contenders list. But right now, I have them as pretenders as well.
They don't have the juice.
They don't. You're right.
Whatever
Next,
juice is. Um,
yeah, right now is next is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I have them in contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Shea is doing Shea things. I believe they are down uh, both their centers. I think Hartenstein is still dealing
All
with
three of
that.
their centers.
All three of them. Yeah, but I mean, even then, uh, I forget Jalen Williams, the other Jalen
Yeah,
Williams. They're
J
playing him
Dub.
at center. J Dub,
Yeah,
he's doing good at center. I believe. What is
yeah.
he like 6'5"?
I think he's 6'5" or 6. I think he's 6'6", maybe 6'5", something like that.
But
Yeah.
he's still giving them really really good minutes at that center position.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like for a team that lost kind of like their anchor on the defensive side in Chet, they're still playing really, really good with J Dub as their center. And obviously Shea's doing his thing. Lou Dort, Isaiah Joe, Alex Caruso. Like the whole team is just playing really good. I feel like they're kind of on a trajectory like they were last season. They're contenders. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I can really say to kind of prove my point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're contenders as well. Yeah, in the 4 games Chet Holmgren's been out, J Dub is averaging 25 points, about 7 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2.5 steals, and 1.5 blocks. He's been very, very good. He's taken over strictly. He's fully that second option right now. Chet, listen, I know you talk about AD, but Chet was my depoy through the first month of the season. He's been phenomenal, and that's gonna be awful because they're saying 8 to 10 weeks reevaluated. That's 2 months to just be reevaluated. It could be 2 months and they say, oh, it's still another month. Like, you know what I mean? There's a long, long time they could be without Chet Holmgren. Isaiah Hartenstein, he had his broken hand, so they're hoping he's back soon. But like I said, J Dub has been phenomenal. I just don't think this J Dub experience is not going to work for a whole season. Like we know this. They're
Yeah.
going to need a stout defensive center. And like I said, even Shea's been very good, but he's also kind of like he kind of got off to a little bit slower start than we're used to. But Alex Russo's missed some games, but they're still one of the better defending teams in the league. They're just like I said, they're really really good. They were really really good last year, and there's not been much of a drop off even with their injuries.
You know, and like what you said about Chet, there's a realistic possibility sitting here on November 19th that we may not see him until
Mm-hmm.
February.
Yeah,
Because you feel like 2 months, let's just say 2.5 months, you're chilling in January at that point. Yeah, you're chilling almost damn near at the beginning of February. Like he might not even be back for the All-Star break if this thing
yeah.
really really progresses like for the bad side. If it's good side, he's back by January. You know what I mean? He's back around January, but it's just hopefully it's he heals and he gets better and he can get back out there because he's a huge asset to this Thunder team.
Yeah. Next is the Phoenix Suns.
I haven't been contenders,
Mm.
especially with how Kevin Durant's been playing. Devin Booker has just been phenomenal. This team has just been playing good. Bring in, I believe it was Tyus Jones to try and help be that actual point guard that they've needed for the past I don't know how many seasons, like the past
Yeah.
year or so that they needed. They got some good bench help. This team just it feels good, even with KD being out. Devin Booker has kind of taken over and being like, hey, I'm that guy. I may be behind Kevin Durant, but I'm still that guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I like this Suns team, even though I don't like Devin Booker. This Suns team is probably the best team KD's been on since the Warriors, in my opinion. Like as a
Yeah.
collective group, I feel like this is one of the better teams that he's been a part of, and I feel like this is the best team that Devin Booker has been a part of, in my opinion. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
you had the Aiden, Bridges, and CP3 team, but I feel like this collective group of guys for the Suns is they're contenders. They are it in the West, in my opinion.
I have them as pretenders. I don't think they have it right now. Kevin Durant's gonna be out for a while, and they were 8-1 when he was there, but they've been 1-5 since he's been out. They've not been good. Devin Booker just had his 42-point game. He's looked better. He also had a couple really really rough games in this last 6 games. Bradley Beal's been missing some games. Yusuf Nurkic sucks right now. He cannot play basketball right now, and listen, Ryan Dunn has been really, really good. It's a rookie that I don't think a lot of people expected to play so much early, but he's been really, really good. Um, Grayson Allen, we always know he can shoot the ball. Royce O'Neal's going to bring some defense. Like they have some pieces there, but I just don't think. I don't know. I mean, Kevin Durant was averaging nearly 39 minutes a game to start the season. That's not something you could expect out of him for a whole season. And he's been phenomenal. He's been damn near an MVP the first 9 games of the season. He was that good. I just I think they're going to fall themselves into a hole with Kevin Durant being out. Bradley Beal, we just haven't really seen him be consistently good in a couple years now. And Devin Booker has his times, but it's like I don't know. I just don't think this team gets to the conference finals, man. I think the Western Conference is way, way too deep, especially with some injury histories. The injury history they have right now, they don't really have much of a bench. They don't have a center rotation. Like Tyus Jones and Monty Morris bringing in the guard rotation, that's been very, very good for them. But I don't think this team has enough to be real contenders.
Hey, I respect it. I respect it.
Now to the last team, the Sacramento Kings.
Even though I love them, even though they are my second favorite team in the league, they are pretenders. I know De'Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Fox has been on an absolute fucking tear.
Yeah.
Domantas Sabonis has been out the past couple of games. I believe DeMar
Mm-hmm.
DeRozan is dealing with an injury.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see a world where De'Aaron Fox, even though he's been playing good, I don't see him keeping up this level of play. He's still going to play really, really good, especially with DeMar and DeMontis being out, but I just don't think he can keep up this level of play to try and get him into the playoffs or for an extended period of time while those two recover injuries, especially when you're starting center. I believe right now is either Alex Len or Trey Lyles.
Yeah, Alex Len's been starting. Well, hell, I think Trey Lyles started with him the last game. Yeah, it's. I have him as pretenders as well. I like De'Aaron Fox. He's one of the best clutch players in the league. He had a 60-point game. He had another within like a 49 or something like that. He had another big game after that. Um, but with DeMar DeRozan being out, that's going to hurt. Domantas Sabonis being out, I just don't think they have a deep enough roster. Keon Ellis just had a breakout game. He just had 33 points last night, I believe. And I really, really like Keon Ellis. I think he's a good guard for them. But I just don't think this team really fully has enough to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, yeah. With Demar and Demontis back, I feel like there's more of a chance that it happens. But like
Mm,
I said, this team is just without those two being some of your key guys, because I know Demar has been taking over scoring, doing what Demar does, and Demontis has just been that offensive passer, rebounder. We know he's one of the best rebounders in the league, getting his
mm.
points, but it's just without those two guys, and even with their bench being a little bit, their bench not being as good as what a lot of people hoped it to be, I just don't see it.
Yeah. So that is our contenders versus pretenders list. Is there anything else you want to talk about that?
Um, the NFL has a little bit, like I know I'm going to talk about officials here real quick, but the blocked field goal that the Green Bay Packers did. I know Carlos Santos of the Bears kicks with a low trajectory, but you're telling me you watched that and there was no sign of the pushing off, leverage by the kick blocking team, whoever, by the Packers. There's no leverage there, and also you're not allowed to blow up the long snapper because he has no way to protect himself. That's why you can't line up over him. That's why you can't just blow right through him and block a kick. And they kind of just did it anyways and didn't get, and no flag was called. But just consistency is all I'm asking for.
I got you.
Consistently from officials, whether you're the worst official ever and you call nothing, or you're the worst official and you call everything. Most people are just looking for key consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of the NFL, you guys know at the end of these episodes, we do our Week 12, our Thursday night prediction because we do the TikToks or not the TikTok, the shorts on Sunday morning, but that'll be obviously after the Thursday night game. So we do the Thursday night game here at the end of the episode. Are you ready for that game?
I am ready.
Okay, so the first Week 12 prediction on Thursday night is Steelers and Browns.
Who's home?
I'm not going to answer. It's your favorite team.
No, I got the Steelers. The Browns have not been playing that good. Nick Chubb has come back from his injury, but with the level of injury that he did sustain, it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into what he used to be, if he can even get to that point. Because a healthy Nick Chubb going 100% top 5 back in the league, top 3 back in my opinion.
Yeah.
But with the injury that he sustained, especially with his prior injuries at Georgia, I don't think he can get back to that level. I think he can still be a really good running back. I just don't think he's going to hit that point. The passing game has been better with Jameis Winston. I just don't think they can collectively put it all together and beat a team that's arguably got a top three defense. And the offense has struggled, but Russell Wilson has been kind of engineering that Steelers offense. So I do have to go with the Steelers to beat the Browns.
This just feels like a game that the Browns going to win.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking to my dad. I'm just like, yeah, looking at the rest of the schedule, they're probably gonna split the Chiefs and Eagles. They're gonna win one of them, lose one of them, and then they're probably gonna lose one more divisional game, and it's probably gonna be to the Browns or the Bengals. But
I just like yeah, the Steelers are the better team. It's just like division games are always something, and this would be the time Jameis Winston throws for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns because
don't
that's just
no
what he
don't
does.
no
It's just
no no.
we know who Jameis Winston is. Jameis Winston is, and that's just what he does. He'll do that, then he'll come back and throw 4 picks. Like we just know it's Jameis Winston.
Yeah,
Um,
he's Mr. 30 for 30.
yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers, but I definitely think you should be an upset alert for the Browns in this game.
Yeah, I know. It's usually one game, one or two games that we're favored and we should win. We just kind of just fall off a cliff.
Yeah. Well, anything else before we get up out of here?
Nope, that's it.
Well, we thank you guys for watching this week's episode of Time Out with J and G, and we will be back here next Wednesday.